And we are live here on Top FC Radio. Laurent Courtines with me, of course, my partner in crime, the man of the hour, the hot take maker, hot take taker. For yeah, he just man, look, he's ready. He's ready because boy, today we have a show and a half, because Chelsea's problems, United's problems, is Newcastle's problems gone? Newcastle doesn't have any problems no more. I guess so. I'm not sure if you're muted or not. Go ahead and you're. I think you're good. If I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
What else? Well, let's do a little bit of a rundown. I will have you give the scores because you are key with that stuff.
I am the score master.
Yes, but what we're going to talk about today, of course, there are some nuggets out there in the football world. PSG
hmm
and Lionel Messi going back to head to head over. You should have celebrated me. I won't celebrate you because this is a French team. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Also, Vidal saying that I can't believe Ten Hag took CR7 out of the lineup out of Manchester United at the time, and he said he's got a problem with, or bald-headed managers have issues. I think it was a dig at his Sampaoli coach as well. We're gonna take a look at James Madison injury. Boy, that was tough to
How
watch.
how bad
Uh,
was the? Is he out?
we're going to talk about that. Joao Cancelo's also says kind of a phrase that might not have gone well for Barcelonistas, that we'd rather win an ugly game than lose a pretty game. Barcelonistas don't like that at all. You're not supposed to say that out loud.
What are they? What are
Pierce,
they called? Culeros.
well, they're Claire.
Culers.
Yeah. Pierce Morgan also questions Arsenal's goalkeeping decisions amidst Aaron Ramsdale's absence in the team. So we're going to talk about all that, but we're going with the Premier League rundown, the Premier League scores with Laurent Courtines. Let's go.
You tell me when. Am I ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. I think I'm a little bit loud.
There
Uh-oh.
you go. You're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay, we will start with the worst. Crystal Palace nil, Fulham nil. The less we talk about this game, the better. But it looks like Jimenez is not the answer for Fulham up front. But Eze is still the best. Couldn't get his goal. Then Luton Town have their first point. Hey, good for them. They draw 1-1 at home with Wolves. Gary O'Neill is very grumpy. He has had more VAR calls go against him than any manager. It's funny to see him get mad. Then my beloved Manchester City completely mopped the floor with Nottingham Forest for 35 minutes. Then Rodri goes nuts. He chokes Gibbs White. And the second half was tough and City dug in, but they do keep the clean sheet and win 2-0. Then the great and powerful Brentford lose at home to Everton. Everton off the schneid scored not one, not two, but 3 goals, making up almost half of the goals they've scored all season. Calvert-Lewin back in the goals. Then the Friday night matchup of the age on Saturday. Burnley nil, Manchester United 1. Manchester United, against the worst team in the division, had 40% possession. This is not a good team. Anyway, they win 1-0 because Bruno is good and so is Johnny Evans. That was weird. Sunday. Liverpool go into the break at 1-1, but then win 3-1. They had a little bit of problems. Same old Liverpool. They can be great, they can be bad, but in the end, they score more than you. Chelsea nil, Aston Villa 1. Oh my God, they lose at Stamford Bridge again. Are they going to get relegated? Because they're not good and they can't score goals. There are talks of Erling Haaland to score more than Chelsea bets that are out there, and you can get them. My beloved side piece Brighton defeat Bournemouth 3-1. But De Zerbi says after the game, this was our worst performance of the season. He's not messing around. I agree. They were bad. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2 in the North London derby, where we'll probably get to first. And also, Newcastle United get off the schneid, score 8 against the beloved Sheffield United. It was bad. It was ugly. And I think that Paul Heckenbottom will be fired before he finishes the season. That's for sure. And those were the scores for match week 6.
All right, let's get started with it. You said it, Arsenal, the derby of London, of Northern
North
London,
London Derby.
North London. Spurs, Arsenal, Spurs. Postecoglou, man, Pasti,
We
boy,
love him.
he. I wasn't really, too much of a fan of Ange, not because I just he wasn't a top name that you would think of, really, but
No,
obviously
goes
Spurs.
against your big name. Big clubs need big names.
Well, okay, now you're gonna put me no, don't put me against Spurs now, but Spurs are a
Yes, I
team
am
that.
putting you on blast, is what I'm saying.
But actually, man, they're just doing terrific. We're gonna go with the comments here in the section
Yeah.
in a second, and please have your say. Keep commenting, and we're gonna get to you. But I mean, just an incredible. I do believe that the Spurs. Maybe you could say Arsenal deserved more in the beginning, but Spurs.
Hmm.
I mean, if you talk about mistakes here, Arsenal scored on literal mistakes of Spurs. In Spurs,
Hmm.
I mean, you got that Jorginho play, but that's all the way in the middle of the pitch. I mean, that's a lot can happen with that. So I think Spurs. I don't know, man. I think
Oh,
they
Spurs.
yeah,
This was a balanced game. I think a draw is fair. Arsenal fans will point to the miss in the first half by Gabby that would have put them up 2-0. And then you have to wonder if Spurs can sustain that. But what I really liked about Spurs was that they never stopped. They just kept going. They kept
exactly.
playing the way they were going to play. They handled the press every time. Some really gorgeous get out of jail free cards on some of those presses. They were always able to get through. They knew they could give it to Basuma and he would run 15 yards or go through three guys. And they can feel better about the draw because they came back twice and their goals were real goals of real quality, whereas Arsenal's were a deflection off of my guy, I can't remember his name, and a handball penalty that it's a handball every day, twice on Tuesday. But if he just kind of can move his arm out of the way, it might have been fine. I'm saying Romero's name.
Romero, yeah.
Yeah, Christian Romero.
Well, I
Um,
mean, it was a handball. It is what
yeah,
it
it's a
is.
handball. I mean, it is.
Yeah, I mean, but
But that's a real handball, unlike the rest of the handballs that get called, which are
now the first
total
goal,
bullshit.
I think the first goal was a legitimate mistake that shouldn't happen. I mean, I understand that he has to do
Mm,
something because
yeah,
they're gonna backdoor him. However, he is a World Cup winner, defender. He
yeah,
needs to be able to just
yeah,
not hit it towards his goal. I mean, just send it flying somewhere else. I don't know. I
yeah,
say
yeah. But
this,
it's
but
coming in fast. Listen,
yeah,
they didn't
yeah,
defend it well. They didn't get out to him. It was legit. It's a shot. You can only
exactly.
score if you shoot. So fair enough. But I think on the balance of play, the first half, first 25 minutes, first half hour were Arsenal's, and it seemed to change after the Jesus miss on. Let me see if I can find the he shot. He shoot it directly over the bar, right on 32. It's a half a goal chance, which is if a penalty is 70% of a goal, a half goal chance is about as good a chance as you're going to get. Although Brendan Johnson did have one as well that he missed, but just that seemed to change the game. And then I think the other thing that changed the game was Declan Rice coming off. I think allowed in the second half, injury, whatever the reason was, allowed in the second half for Basuma and Sarr to control the game more and able to prevent Arsenal from playing the way they'd like to play. It was a choppy game. I mean, it was kind of gross but
It
fun at
was,
the same time.
but it was certainly entertaining to a certain extent because
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
but you have to admit, Spurs, man, they just. I mean, they got scored on before that before all of this, before Ange, if they get scored at the Emirates against Arsenal, obviously,
They fall apart.
it would just fall apart. But right after, right, it just and I was watching the second goal, the James Madison play with Son. I was like, the whole time it's almost too perfect. He's about to miss. There's no way he's gonna make this goal. And Son actually scores like he was just playing against in his neighborhood in South Korea. He just
Listen,
hits it and it
I
goes
don't
in.
know. I don't know, Chris, how well you know Son or
No,
watched him,
yeah, yeah,
but I know this because Spurs beat Manchester City every year, even though we've won the league 3 times in a row. City
right,
can't win away at Spurs. It's just something that doesn't happen. And the reason for that is Heung-min Son is one of the most clinical finishers you'll
yeah,
see. If he gets a shot, he puts it in. And
yeah,
last year was the outlier. I know this is like nerdy and people don't like this, but he is for the last 6 years outperformed his expected goals by a far margin, which is indicative of a really good finisher. So your top finishers, your Hollands, your Mbappes, your Agueros, your Harry Kanes, they always score more than you would expect. So they take a half chance and make it a three-quarter chance. They take a three-quarter chance and make it automatic. They take a quarter chance and make it a full chance, a half
Yeah,
chance. So every single time you think he's not going to score, he does. And last year was the first year he was hurt. He had a bad ankle. He busted up his face. He didn't put his chances away. But it appears that Son has this in control. I loved how we didn't talk about this when Richarlison scored. He pushed him forward and is really taking on the mantle of the captain. I saw him in the huddle. He's the guy geeing up the team. He's the older player. He's really taken the mantle of being the leader of Spurs along with James Madison, who's the vice captain, and they seem to have immediately clicked. Now, what that makes me think is if you notice how much Kane clicked with Sonny, and now Madison's clicking with Sonny,
yeah,
perhaps all this time it was Son. It was Son who allows himself to make these partnerships with
yeah.
great players. So he must be a joy to play with. And if his name was Son Aldinho, he
Right.
would be a bigger star than he is.
Yeah, and for Spurs, but not just Son. I mean, a lot of players, Basuma playing terrific. Sarr
Oh,
really taking care of that middle. I
oh,
mean,
he's good.
aside from Christian Romero, he's a solid defender. He just messed up last night. Ben
Mhm.
Van, that we doubted him. I also we doubted him.
He's
Well,
good.
when he could win that, what the heck? Who's that? I don't even know how to say his name. And he was good. Udogi, another good.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
were just Spurs are solid, man, and you have to consider him for a shot at taking
Yeah,
this
you got
Premier
to be
League.
there. That's all it takes. Now, I want to go back to when we had the conversation before the game. I was like, Arsenal are better. Arsenal are better. Right? And you were
And they
like, no, no,
killed
no,
you.
no, no.
They
Spurs, Spurs,
they
Spurs.
killed you on YouTube.
But I don't think I was wrong. I was sort of banking on the fact that they had 18 months more. They'd already been through a full campaign. They have Odegaard and Saka that are top level in the Premier League players. They have Trossard who comes off the bench, Gabriel Jesus. They have what they need. They have everything you would want to win a title or make a title push. But they had injuries and they made a big mistake. I think that Havertz for Shaka move really has unsettled this team. It's not
You think
working,
so?
right?
You
It's
think they
just
need him?
what's that?
You think they need him back?
Shaka?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that they need Shaka, but they need someone productive in that spot. They didn't get anything from Vieira in this game, although he'd been good the last two games. But Havertz came on. He's just not affecting games. I think the thing with Shaka was he was a personality. He'd get emotional. He'd always talked in the huddle. He had been there with Wenger. He's someone who carried on the legacy of the club of just like, I'm an Arsenal guy. The fans tried to get rid of me. He'd been through everything and was able to relate that to other players and then able to adapt to what Arteta wanted. And granted, we understand why you move him on. It's 35 million. He's 33 years old. You want to get Havertz, who's this once in a generation talent, so good when he was at Leverkusen. Oh, we just chalk the Chelsea problems up to it's Chelsea, it's a mess. I'll get him here, I'll get him to play. But we're not seeing anything. We're seeing the same player he was at Chelsea at Arsenal. And it's going to be a long enough amount of time that there's no reason why he's all of a sudden going to change just because he's in this new position of playing this double eight thing, because they need that variety in attack. And when he's not, when then you just key on Odegaard and they can't do anything. But again, I feel like we kind of pumped up Spurs and shit on Arsenal. The reason why we're shitting on Arsenal is because they were the favorites. They were the ones who were supposed to have Declan Rice and win this game and have Gabi in and Nketiah firing. And they're the ones who are supposed to take this game. They didn't play bad at all, right? I wouldn't.
No, Arsenal. Yeah. I wouldn't think they. It's just that maybe Spurs were under. Uh, I guess you can say people maybe didn't think they were going to perform in the Emirates against Arsenal. Maybe it was reasonably questioned, because I mean, obviously history's there. So,
Yeah, teams have to show that
right.
they have to pass hurdles. Like Arsenal had to do that last season and the season before, show
But
you past hurdles, and they failed, right? Arsenal ultimately failed their hurdles, right? They had
but
big ones, but when they went to City, they got beat,
so
right?
but do you think that this Arsenal team has enough to win the Premier League?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
You still
They,
think that? You think that?
yeah, they have absolutely. You have to just be in touching distance. Remember, you can lose every game to the top four and still win the league. What will make Arsenal a contender is when they go on a run through the bottom six, bottom eight teams, they've got to just annihilate them. Don't lose any of those games. Win every one of those games. You can win the league without beating the people nearby. You can rack up a lot of points. You beat Luton home and away. You beat Chelsea home and away now that Chelsea's so shit. you beat you beat Burnley home and away. You can rack up there's about 70 or 87 there's at least 60 points against teams that you're not close to, and you just got to find a way to find the other points. Right? So they won't be judged versus City. They'll be judged when it's West Ham at home in May and you blow it. Right? You got to beat a West Ham. You've got
Right.
to beat these teams. A draw against Tottenham, it's fine. Again, can you get to 90 points? Whatever the math is, 90. That's the number.
So, what do you think? I know we touched on this before, but Piers Morgan comes on Talksport and questions that this the Raya the Ramsdale thing could have affected the way it
No,
turned out.
bullshit.
This weekend turned out.
Don't buy that at all. First of all, Piers Morgan is very good at his job. His job is to talk shit. That is what he does. That's how he does it. His whole role in life is to say what he thinks with a little bit of more on top. So essentially, for our American fans, he's Stephen A. Smith. For your British fans, he's Piers Morgan. So you have the same guy.
Right.
Piers Morgan does do a little bit more. He's more like an O'Reilly or whatever the hell he is. He says these things because he's trying to channel what the guy in the pub will say. But anyone who wants to look at these things and cares about these things and wants to look at why the decision was made can just go and look on fbref.com and look up post shot goals. Raya was a +5 last year, which is about as good as it gets, and the year before he was not, and Ramsdale was not. Arteta's just using numbers. He's not a genius. He's looking at what the numbers say, and he's assessing what he sees from Ramsdale, which is a highly emotional guy for a young team. They need less emotion. They have enough emotion. They need to temper it down. You've got Zinchenko losing his mind every other game. You've got uh,
Yeah,
Gabriel Jesus half the time sulking when he scores a goal and calling people. And Arteta is not a calm guy. So he got to get one less madman on the field, right? Raya being calm, Raya playing the ball out, Raya making great saves. I wholeheartedly agree with this decision. I don't think it's even close. People don't really understand goalkeeping, but there are numbers that tell you how good they are, and they're not. And Ramsdale wasn't good enough. Ultimately, it's marginal, right? Like when you're trying to win the title, if you can get a goalkeeper who's 3% better, you do it
right. Okay.
because that 3% could be 3 points at the end of the season. It might be that much difference, but 3 points is huge.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Arsenal, and of course, on the Spurs side, they're doing terrific. We'll see because next match is against Liverpool, correct?
For
Eh,
Spurs, yes.
yeah, for the Spurs, and that's going to be another test. If they pass that one, we
Is
might
it at
have to
home or
start.
away?
Well, wouldn't it be at home? Or
If it's at Spurs, they may have a shot.
oh
I
my god, that's what you said against Arsenal, man. They not move a little? They don't move the needle for you a little bit after
Liverpool.
this.
I know. Listen, it's like the old joke, the old saying with these presidential debates. You think you're Jack Kennedy, you're no Jack Kennedy. I know Spurs. I mean, I know Liverpool. Spurs are no Liverpool. Liverpool are serious. When they're in the mood and they start to move, no team has gotten close to my beloved Manchester City except Liverpool. I know exactly what they're capable of. They are not a joke. It's very serious. Once they start getting that momentum going, they can really blow teams away. So I'm not gonna underestimate Liverpool. And there's an argument among folks that Klopp is actually the better manager than Pep Guardiola. I don't agree with that, but there are
Mm.
people who think that because he does it with a lesser budget, etc. So yeah, it's the Saturday late game, Spurs Liverpool, at White Hart Lane, New White Hart Lane, whatever the Tottenham Spurs Stadium. I think they have a good shot at home because Liverpool away from home are not the same as they are at Anfield. At Anfield, I would say Spurs have no shot, but away from home, they can win that game. That will
Um,
be a big statement if they win
and,
that game. That is
and
like whoa.
exactly. And who do
Yeah.
they play? Arsenal. Who did Arsenal go against?
Arsenal, I believe. Let me just check really quickly. Sorry about that. Arsenal,
You gotta
Arsenal,
be on it.
Arsenal.
You gotta be
Arsenal
on it,
are
man.
away at Bournemouth. That's one of those games that I just talked about.
That's
Cannot
yeah.
lose those games. Cannot.
Yeah, no,
Cannot.
I don't foresee them losing that one.
Mhm.
Now, so okay, listen, I guess the next big topic would be, in my opinion, is because of the amount of points that they're losing. Is I mean, let's get to it and let's not have any, you know, any protection, anything to save them. I mean, let's get to it because people are talking about it. Fans are talking about it.
Yeah,
It's Chelsea.
they are bad.
Is no, but one thing is being bad.
They
Another
can't
thing
score.
is
They can't
another thing is
score.
the question is right there in front of you. Is Chelsea looking
Yes.
at relegation?
Yes. Yes. They may not get out of their next 9 games. They might only get like 6 points. I'll show you the schedule.
All right, let's get to the schedule because that's important.
I'm going to show you. It's
Let's
crazy.
analyze. I'm gonna
It's
go to
crazy how
Chelsea.
dangerous it is. So I'm getting scores and fixtures. Going to go to the Premier League table through our. It's fun going through the websites on the on live is exciting. But I know that they just had their easy part of their schedule and didn't win anything. Right? They had Luton. They had Nottingham Forest. They didn't get a win. They'd had a cupcake schedule, and now they've got an actual real schedule. They may not win anything. So here are their next games. You ready?
Yeah.
Fulham away, Burnley away. Okay, that's fine. But then home to Arsenal, home to Brentford, away to Tottenham, home to City, away to Newcastle, home to Brighton, away to Manchester United.
Wow.
They're not winning any of those games. 0. So let's say they beat Fulham and they beat Burnley, right? That's 6 points. Are they getting anything home to Arsenal? No.
They could probably get Brentford.
Brentford are scuffling. Okay, that's 9. Tottenham away? No. Manchester City home? No. Newcastle away? No.
Well,
Brighton at home? No.
well,
Manchester United away? No.
they
No.
could. Okay. Well, I don't know that. I mean, United's not lighting it up either.
At
So,
home? At home? They're good
man,
at home.
they play horrible against Forest at home. So I'm not even.
I'm just saying they do not
But
have an easy run, right?
I mean, just for the record, I mean, they're gonna have to beat somebody. I mean, if they want to, we're talking about. Obviously, if they don't beat anybody, then they need to go down.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
Well, so they do have Brighton in the EFL
but
Cup.
but also we are considering that all these teams are going. I mean, Brighton, it's a good team. I'll go to your side. They're good. They're good. They're playing
They're
good.
the
But
top scoring team in the league.
yeah, but they're not going to go invincible. I mean, somebody's going to have to lose points here. Arsenal is not. I think derbies are different matches. They don't go. I think. Listen,
The
it's
issue
it's looking not
they
looking good.
can't score.
But yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking so
They
for Arsenal.
can't score.
I think
They're gonna have
yeah.
to sign Eden Hazard off the fat heap.
Hey, he might do well. Wouldn't
He
that be
might do
something?
if he just stands there and
Yeah,
doesn't move
when,
too much, he'll
w-
be perfect.
no, but there's got to be a deeper analysis in this because Chelsea. I just don't understand. I mean, I knew that they were going to struggle because they got a lot of young players. However, just what
They,
are they on the standings like?
so they're 15th in the standing. So so underlying
Ooh,
numbers. So
they're
nerd.
late.
Let's go to the nerd. Let's go to the nerd
Yeah.
videotape. On the nerd videotape, they are creating chances, right? We can see that with Jackson Martinez. He's getting in there. We can see that they're creating chances. They are moving the ball around. There is good stuff that's happening. Like the numbers that they've created, like shots, chances created, chances given up, all the defense, everything from the math perspective says this team should have at least 2-3 more wins, right? Easily. So they're a plus on expected goals. So that's the math part that says there's no way they're going to be this bad for that long. Okay. The reality is, and I talked about this on the Squeaky Bum Time podcast, that I think is underrated, is that from the surface, from a fan perspective, we see Stamford Bridge, we see the logo, we see the players come out in their shirts. There's players and there's a coach. Everything we see on the surface is Chelsea Football Club that we expect it to be, right? But I think what's underrated is when Roman Abramovich was forced to sell the team, they cleaned the entire club out. No backroom staff, no marketing team, nothing. So essentially, the reason why Creole Capital and all this had to restart and spend $1.5 billion on players is they had to create a team from zero. So it's really like a startup. It's as though they got relegated, disappeared, and someone replaced Chelsea and didn't know. So we shouldn't, when we think about Chelsea, we shouldn't think of it as this club from the past that won the Champions League 18 months ago. That whole team is gone. Right. This is a completely different team. All the players are gone. All the coaches are gone. All the backroom staff is gone. The owner's gone. The director of football is gone. The chief executive is gone. Everything's gone. So we have to think of Chelsea from when Bowley comes in as the actual team. Everything before is irrelevant. It's just what's going to happen tomorrow. So I think the big thing with them is that Pochettino is going to need a lot of time to figure out. I think they have to figure out, like, what do we do? How is the bus travel work? Who do I talk to about there's something wrong in the bathroom? Who do I talk to about the food? Like, everything is gone. So I think that's what's so difficult. And then you have this amateur level ownership group in Bowley and Clear Lake that don't know what they're doing. And so they've already made the mistakes of new owners. So each time they now have to reset, right? So even though they've been the owners for a year, really they just started now. They started 6 months ago, right? So that's where they are. I think that's how Chelsea fans, as much as it's painful, have to feel. There's no there. It's empty. So they're starting from zero. It's like an expansion team almost.
It's definitely looking scary. It does make sense because they're sort of starting as a new club, essentially.
Yes,
essentially. 14, just looking at the table, again, the Premier League, we have 6 weeks in. However, we say that every week. And it's going to be 12 weeks in and 15 weeks in. And it's going to be that. And then we're going to have an issue. 14 in the table with Everton, who Everton is like, I say it on the private chat all the time. Wayne Rooney rolls over in his grave every day. Lineker rolls over in his grave every day.
Poor Everton.
And Wolves. Wolves just, they're puppies now. They're not wolves. Bournemouth. Luton, Burnley, anybody that Chelsea's above the scum of the Premier League.
Yes,
and
that's about as low as you can go without trying.
And even less points than Brentford.
Yeah,
Forest. Yeah. So I mean, it is. I just don't know. To be honest, unlike the other Manchester United, the way I think about United's situation, I don't even know if it's a manager situation.
No, I don't think it is.
Because I don't know who else can really. I don't even think it's that. I think it's much deeper, and this could be catastrophic. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it could be. I think that so we can transition a little bit into the United game just because I think there's a connection here. All that money and all that stuff that Chelsea has done, they do not have a crack. They don't have a player like Bruno Fernandes who can win you a game, right? Bruno Fernandes will win you games just out of the blue. That's the thing that's happened with Chelsea. A lot of talent, a lot of good players, a lot of guys who are technically good, a lot of guys who have played at a high level. They play for their national teams, etc. But they does not appear to be on that team a match winner. A guy
Right.
who says, put this team on my back, give me the ball, I'm going to go win this game. Spurs has two, I think, in Madison and Son. They're match winners. They go find games and go win them. Arsenal's got two or three even with Odegaard and Saka. They'll go find a game and go win it, right? And they have a negative one in Havertz who does not want to find a game and will lose it for you. And then they have like on the other side, have a defensive match winner who will stop any ball. It's time to clear a clean sheet. Saliba will come, stop anything from happening. Now we have it with Van de Ven, and I think Ramirez is a bit of a lunatic, but he'll do it anyway. He'll try and do it. So you have match winners, right? You have these players that are just like, we're not losing, right? Even Madison was like, how's that for Spursy? I'm not so Spursy anymore, right? Just
Right.
to
Right.
even say that is just like, oh,
It's different.
okay. He's not messing around. He's in
Yeah,
this.
he went at Saka, his
I
close
loved it.
teammate,
I loved it.
because they were really close on the national team, and he
Yeah,
went
but
at him.
that's fun. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah. I love it. I love it. And so, yeah, to your point, maybe Chelsea. You're right.
They don't have one.
They
They
don't
don't
have a
not one
player.
player on that team. Sorry, that you
Yeah.
feel you can trust and be like, just take the ball and go win it for us. Right?
Honestly, I think that's a pretty good point because
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, and I just don't see one.
Who would
I
it
mean,
be? It,
honestly, I had thought, me watching River played a lot. I thought Enzo Fernandez was going to be really
well, I mean,
key.
he can, but he should be
It's
deeper,
what,
right?
yeah,
He should. He's really he's
eh,
the guy before the goal, right?
yeah,
He's the
yeah,
guy
yeah.
who makes it through, and they're trying
He's
to
sort
play
of
him
a
high up. They're trying to put him in that role, and he's not. He's not
he-
that.
he's sort of a Declan Rice type player,
Right. Exactly. He's a
and
6. He's not an
and,
8.
and going back and forth. Now Caicedo, a lot of pressure on that player. I know. Hey, let me
Again,
tell you,
he's not a match winner either,
no,
right?
no. He's a bet. He's a bet. Just a player you put your money on and see what
Well, I
happens.
mean, this is
Yeah,
so. Let's take a step back, right? I think ultimately it shows you a lot of things, right? And we're going to talk about the Burnley game because Burnley has this problem too. All the good football, all the tactics, everything looking clean and nice and pretty, and you have all the possession and you make chances, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What was the difference between Burnley and Manchester United? When Burnley had chances, they had 20-year-old guys who were in the Premier League for the first time. Their shots got saved or they hit the bar. The
right.
difference was Johnny Evans' ball goes over the top. Bruno Fernandes knows if he takes a touch, the keeper will get it, or it'll go out of play, or someone will defend me. I've got to volley this ball over the shoulder from 40 yards out. That's the difference. And they get their goal, and then they sit on it, right? United sitting on a goal against a relegation team.
Yeah,
Madness. Anyway,
unheard of.
unheard of, exactly. Now, Johnny Evans was in defense, which is to their defense.
Johnny Evans, man, he's the
he was so good. I loved
he
it.
came back. Boy, I used to
He
play
was
with
so
Johnny
happy.
Evans when I was a little kid on PlayStation. He just came out.
He was in the 2008 Champions League final against Barcelona as a 20-year-old under
Yeah,
Alex Ferguson. The thing that's crazy, Ferguson hasn't been on the team for 10 years. He played 4 years under Ferguson. That's like
right.
so long ago.
Yeah,
now,
that's
to be
incredible.
fair, at Leicester, he was really, really good, to be fair. And Pep did want him before when he left United. He was going to come to City, but he went to West Brom and whatever. So he's actually a very, very good player, a good
Yeah.
pro. But 35, injured, all that stuff. I think he's going to play. I'm not even being funny. I think he'll play more. If there's injuries, like they're just gonna why play Lindelof? Why not play Varane with Johnny Evans?
So
who cares?
it was a much needed. We can transition into United. It
Mm.
was a much needed win for United.
Yeah, for sure.
They needed to win this one. I mean, obviously they had that pressure because if not, then all hell would have broken loose.
Oh my god.
I mean, right there, they would have been 6. They would have been right there with Chelsea in that talk. In this talk, I mean, literally, they would have been.
Yeah.
They would have been on this relegation talk. And listen, I think United. I know I've been getting at Ten Hag and look, it is what it is. That's who. That's the manager. So I think it's going to take one of these, step at a time type deals. What's their next match? Because we got to go match by match with United. We're gonna, we just
with United.
we have different patience here in
United are at home against Crystal Palace. They should be fine.
Okay, so it should be good with that.
However, can you see can you see Eze running through the midfield and scoring goals? I can. So they have to really be careful because he's really good. That's the type of player that United need. That's the thing that's so weird. They don't have any young midfielders that you can go, oh, he's got us. He'll he'll drive this team forward.
And by the way, shout out to, of course, Louis York, always on our videos, on our streams, and everybody that's been listening to the radio station. We are live on TopFCRadio.com and on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, give us a thumbs up. That helps us
I
a
want to get his
lot.
name right. Eberici Eze. Eberici. He's
Eze.
so good.
Oh, Eze. But City
Yes.
wanted him.
Yeah, everybody wanted him. He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's just a really good player. That's the kind of player that United need. That would be my fear if I was United. Hey, what if Eze has one of his games and we lose this thing because we can't stop anyone in the midfield. Casemiro just doesn't have that yard anymore. You can get past him. You just run right by him. He's like, shit, there he goes. So,
yeah.
I mean, he's still great, but I think that ultimately Amrabat will be there and really help out, and that will make a huge difference for United. The more he plays, I think they'll get more solid. What United have to go back to is just like, we can't give up goals. We can't let people run through our midfield. We got to get more solid in defense. Let Onana do the things that he wants to do so that then his strength in playing the ball out can make a difference. We can create chances. Because I think that there was a slowness to United and there was problems with De Gea, but right now that he at least was defensively solid. Now they're not defensively solid. They need to get solid at the back, then they can start playing again. And in the meantime, they just have to counterattack and hold on, try and get their wins where they can. They really haven't moved forward. I think they're be lucky to end up where they were last season, which is like 71 points, fourth place.
All right. So another match that turned out really interesting was the Magpies. Man,
Hey.
I will confess, I was mowing when I wasn't doing my job. I was mowing. I had to mow, and all of a sudden I started getting all these notifications because I signed up for everything to be able to stay updated on the team, and so
Yeah.
and I'm like notification after notification. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
This is not real. And so
Yeah.
I look at the score 5-0, and then at the end of the match 8-0. This was
Oh.
one hell of a match. One hell of a match for Sheffield. And
Yeah,
and,
just
and
pure ass kicking. Just, I think the funny thing is the game changed very early. Once Harvey Barnes went off, got injured. Unfortunately, they actually need him. Gordon came on, and he was a maniac. He
Gordon
sets
is
up Longstaff for the first goal on a really nice drive to
yeah.
the byline. Did it touch his hand? Yes,
Come
but
on, man.
they
Stop
didn't call
playing.
it. He makes the cross before it goes out of bounds. A nice finish for Longstaff, who I like being back in the team because he just has a connectivity to the whole thing. And then, of course, my man Trippier sets up both
Oh,
his giant
hey, I
center
will
backs.
say uh,
Yeah.
Trippier is the best right back uh, in the Premier League. No, listen, I'm gonna put. I'm gonna
I
have
don't know.
no.
Kyle
Yeah,
Walker might have
no.
something to
I'm
say
gonna
about it,
say.
but that's
I
okay.
was gonna say that, but Kyle Walker. There's nothing wrong with being second. Nothing wrong with being second. Kyle Walker, dude, Trippier can put a ball anywhere he wishes
Yes,
to.
yes,
I
yes,
mean,
he can.
it's crazy,
Him and James Ward-Prowse. It's almost like Gary Neville and
and such a good leader too. I
and
watched.
Beckham. He is a good leader. He is a good leader.
I rewatched the game,
Yeah,
and he's always on referees. He's always when Premier League decides they can talk. He's always on referees, and he's
yeah.
always like
Oh,
on the
he's
other
real. Oh,
person.
you know what?
Yeah,
He's a Manchester City graduate. He comes from our
alumni.
academy. Yeah,
Okay.
and Burnley. So he's a
Um,
northern boy. He did. You know what I liked about him too? He did go to Spain. He did learn under Simeone. Got to that semifinal
true.
with that team. So he learned how to defend and learned some tactics. Um, Going forward, he's definitely better than Kyle Walker, but nobody defends as well as Kyle Walker. Going
Right.
backwards, he just stops counterattacks before they even happen because he just
Yeah.
runs. But yeah,
No.
I
Yeah.
get
Right.
it, and it was a bad week to start picking on Kyle Walker because he had an amazing assist against Nottingham Forest. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, this was a big game for Newcastle. It puts them back. They're like, okay, we're good. We had these two bad. We had a little bit of a rough stretch against City and Liverpool. Those were games you can lose. That's fine. But and then after the battle that they had at that draw they got against AC Milan, that was scary. That was
Yeah.
worrisome. But at
No,
least they get their things back together. Go ahead.
I'm gonna have a test for you because Lewis says I wanted to be greedy. I wanted to break the Premier record 10-0. Who's got the record 10-0?
Oh, City against Burnley.
When?
I don't know. I think City scored 10 goals.
Man, you
I
better
get.
look it up before
I
we
don't
start.
know.
We get caught lying
I have no
on
idea.
national
I was
on
gonna.
national.
I thought you were gonna ask me the last big score. I know Leicester got Southampton twice 9-0, but
I would
I don't
like
know
to
who
know who
scored
has
10.
that. Who has the? I mean, that's 8-0, man. That's a lot, and to any professional team right now, because obviously, oh, he says the Premier record is 9-0.
It
So
is. It is. Yeah.
what was it? Was it
No, it
City?
was. It was Leicester twice against Southampton.
Leicester scored 9 goals
Yes.
against Southampton.
Yes.
When was this? Not too long.
They did it
Whenever they.
twice in the last 5 years.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have never thought of Leicester doing that. But nonetheless, congrats. And Newcastle, man. You watched the game, and man, it was just a big hole in the middle. Like I couldn't believe uh, Almiron just dribbled through and goal.
That was so
I
bad.
Isak sent one just. I don't
Hmm.
know what happened. He just sent one sliding in goal.
Hmm.
Who else? Aaron Gordon. He just hit it, and
Yeah.
it was well shot. But I felt
Hmm.
like anything that was going towards the Sheffield's goal, it was going to go in. Now I want to ask you this that Simon Jordan said today,
Uh
and
oh.
I know that. I know that, of course, losing 8-0, that's a big. That I mean, I don't even know if I would allow that. But Sheffield United, let me see where we at.
They have a
Last,
worse team than they
Let-
had that won
would
the
you?
championship because they
w-
lost players and didn't replace them at all.
But would you really fire your coach after this loss? I mean,
No,
you're last.
no.
You probably
This
don't
is
have the,
Yeah.
you
These
know.
aren't the games that they're going to win in division. They're not going to lose because of this. But you've got to see a reaction. This can't happen again. Like Hasenhüttl had it happen, but you knew why it happened, right? Hasenhüttl, when he was with Southampton, he lost games like this because he was pressing. He had a high line. He was being super aggressive. He went nuts. He would do this aggressive thing, and he wouldn't change the way he played. In this case, I don't know what Sheffield United do that they were sitting deep. Like, why did you get lit up like this? So
Man,
it's a little bit crazy. They did crash and put their heads down, and that's no good. I think the reason why I want to get his name's Paul Heckenbottom. Heckenbottom, I
yeah,
think his name is.
he got his
Uh,
bottom.
I think the reason why there's a worry for him is that Chris Wilder is in the aisles, and he's got some connection with the owner of the club, and he was at the last game, and he's the one who brought them up from two divisions. So there's a thinking that perhaps he'll replace him, even though Heckenbottom replaced him. So it would be back to the same manager as before. So you have this legendary manager who did really well. Whether he wants, and his last job was poor. He was at Middlesbrough, Chris Wilder, but he loves the club. He has a connection to the club, and I think that if they feel like they can get something out of it, maybe Wilder will come back in. But I don't think it's fair to judge him on a 9-0. But you have to see what happens in the next game.
Um, you got to say Kyle Walker. He would have been rolling over in his grave, but he was busy playing against West Ham United. Boy, he must like this
He's a
game.
blade. He's a
This
blade.
game. Yeah,
Kyle
yeah,
Walker is
yeah.
a blade. It's hurt him. It's hurt him to see his boyhood team get lit up like a Christmas tree.
What else we got, man? What's up? What's up? What's going on in the
Well, did we talk about City and the choking?
Oh, yeah, let's get into that crap. Okay, now you got now we got time. We got time. My soundboard is messing up, so I would play some Rocky music because we're about to go head to head. Because you believe that the Premier League should just be a bunch of Boy Scouts, and love each other, hold hands, and kumbaya like
No,
people in
no,
the chat when Liverpool plays.
no, no,
And
no, no, no.
I need some man. And Rodri, I mean, okay, I,
He
I'm
lost his head.
I'll give you that he should have been, and as he was rejected, kicked out of the game. But you're gonna give him 3 games, man. And it's nonsense. It's
Straight
not. It's
red,
just
violent conduct.
a bunch of wusses out
Straight
there.
red, violent conduct. That's
You can
that's in the laws of the game.
Man, they
Sorry.
headbutt each other. The other guy was what was it, Gibbs White?
Yeah,
he was headbutting him as well. As soon as one gets touched a little bit harder, the other one drops, and of course everybody goes crazy. It's just a
yeah,
bunch of crap that I
yeah,
cannot stand. And
yeah.
this helps the players like Neymar that like to do the and I know this was a different situation because this was a like altercation, but
Mhm.
it's essentially the same thing because you barely touch me and I drop like a damn fly.
Well, I mean,
No.
so this is the issue, right? Like, there's a couple of things that are weird about football in general. The laws of the game, the concept of reds and yellows, and all these things were made in the 50s so that people could know what the hell was going on from the stands. So you had cards, which was an innovation, and you had and so we had this system. Ultimately, I think the spirit and the laws of the game, because I know the history of the sport, I know what they were planning on. The spirit of it is that the arbitro, the arbitrator of the game, the referee controls the game, and that this game is different than another game, is different than another game, is different than another game, based on the context of what's happening in that game. Now, what we've done over the last 20 years as we've become a modern sport that's on television and there's millions of people watching and whatever, is we've made it this game where there are set rules and they are precise. Meaning, if this happens, this must happen. If the ball touches your hand, it must be a penalty. If you push someone in the chest, it must be a red card. When really, it's really for the referee to go, you know what? This game is 2-0. There's really not that much going on. He barely touched him. I'm just going to make the call on my own and say they're apart. They're going to bring them together. They'll talk it out, shake hands. It'll be fine. You can't do that anymore. And so we get into the state where they've made hard rules. If you put your hands on someone's neck, if you throw a punch, automatic red, no matter what, right? When really, we know there are different versions of punches. Did you run across the field and throw a forearm into the face? Did you drop kick someone like Eric Cantona? Or did you just do a little rabbit punch and the guy threw himself on the ground like Gibbs White? They're all equal in this method of checking a game. So that's why
Man.
they do it. The other thing is we don't know the context because we weren't old enough. But if you watch older versions of football, it was really, really violent. And we
Yeah,
made
but
a decision as a community, as an entertainment, that we did not. The pinnacle of this is the 1990 World Cup, which English people hold as this great moment because they made it to the semifinals and Gaza cried and all this stuff. But it was terrible. You had something like 2 goals a game, which I think the Premier League is now at 2.7. 2 goals is really low historically. And that was the nadir where they were like, yo, we gotta do something about the back pass. We gotta do something about people getting kicked. So they've slowly been more on the side of offense. And the Premier League and the English League has always been the most lenient with kicking and all this stuff. La Liga is the worst, right? You throw a guy on the floor, no one touches anyone. It's just the way they play, right? They don't really even they call everything. The refs make mistakes. It's awful. But England has always been the most rough and tumble, and you kind of want it to stay that way. And I can understand where you're coming from with like he barely did anything. Gibbs White threw himself on the floor a minute later. Why is that a 3-game ban? I
yeah,
agree.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
just a three
it's
game, you're
ridiculous.
gonna because you are jeopardizing a player that has no history
Yeah,
in doing this.
yeah.
Let me tell you something. When you investigate a play, an altercation, or whatever, you have to think something must have been said for this
Oh,
guy
for
that has
sure, for
no
sure.
history. This
Gibbs
guy
White
has
does
no
it all the time.
this guy has no history, and all of a sudden he's gonna want to annihilate, which didn't. But
Happen.
I
Yeah.
was so something has to be. You know what I mean? You have to take that in consideration, man.
Again, but
Eh,
this is the issue that I have, right? That we've made it so that there is no wiggle room. There's no subjectivity, right? The ball, you put your hands on a guy's neck, done.
well,
However, I can go up to you and put my forehead on you like this
exactly, and
and
just
just be like this and it's
yeah, just
good, right? But
press.
if I go if when I'm like this, I go like that, that's a red, I'm gone, right?
And,
So
and
it's stupid.
but like a commentator says, mic up the referees like you do in rugby, ice hockey, or American football. I mean, well, actually, some of them are doing that in some leagues, but I mean, well, with because of VAR situations, like they tell what
I
decisions
want
they made.
I want
Less
less,
technology, less technology.
less, less,
Because
less.
he says
Again,
right there,
who is it for and what is its purpose?
right there.
Why do we have to have VAR? The
Yeah,
whole goal of it in sport is competition, entertainment, and accuracy, not precision, because they're getting it wrong anyway. Just let
right.
it play. It's so much better. Oh my God. You watch the championship, I went to a game, the game just plays. This VAR stuff, it's awful. Now, are they getting calls right? Sure. They're getting a handball overturned. All these things. I don't care. Just keep going.
Listen, we were talking about altercation, separating 3 games banned, all that crap. They just start yelling at each other, like you said, rub foreheads together, and not one single dude throws a damn hand. If I'm going to be suspended for 3 games, I'm going to throw a couple of hands just so I can make sure that that
The
that it.
Yeah, if I'm gonna get a 3-game ban, I might as well punch the guy.
Yeah, the hell, you just rub it. Oh, I got
Yeah.
freaking rug burn on my forehead, and I'm gonna get
By
three
the way,
three
that
games.
happened. That's in the world famous Aguero goal game. Joey Barton was sent off, and he made sure that he got a little extra on the way out and stomped on Aguero's foot. So he had
Well,
already been kicked out, and he's fighting and wrestling with everyone, and he's on QPR, and he steps on Aguero's foot really hard on purpose. So he took someone else out with him. He was like, "It's the last game of the season. I already got a red card. I'm gonna, I'm gonna get a little
I'm gonna
extra
do
on the
it.
way out."
Yeah.
Joey
Um,
Barton, insane. But there was another red card that was even crazier. In the Luton Wolves game, the red card to Bellegarde was insane because Lockyer is on the ground, tangling up his legs. They're tangled up, like he's purposefully stopping Bellegarde from getting up, and he kicks him. He kicks out. They're like, "Yo, get off me." Ref sees it, red. Not for the locking the guy up, but for the kick out. It's always these certain movements. If you kick out, automatic, right? But if you lock the guy up and don't let him get up by giving him a figure 4 leg lock, that's fine. It's ridiculous. I
oh
love
boy,
Gary
boy,
O'Neill.
boy.
Gary O'Neill is my favorite crap manager in the Premier League. He gets so mad at everything that happens.
Hey, what did you think of Jadon Sancho? Not even eating with the first team anymore. Is he done? They
Yes.
they told
Maybe
this
here's the
dude
thing.
you can't even
Hey,
eat with
hey,
the
Jaden
team.
Sancho. Jaden,
Don't go
maybe
after your
you're
manager.
not good. First of all, I know that Erling Haaland is from the Bundesliga, and I get it. I wouldn't touch a Bundesliga player. There's too many examples of them
Man,
being really bad, right?
I
Just
think it was
or
just
and some of them being really good. I don't know the right answer, but
uh,
but Sancho was like a 15-15, and he's here and he's terrible. Werner, terrible. Scored 30 goals, couldn't score 10. Havertz, terrible. Can't score. I don't know what's going on in the Bundesliga. I feel like the Bundesliga is the new Eredivisie because you can't figure out if the guys are actually good. Unless it's Erling Haaland, in which case you're like, okay. Oh,
okay.
take care, Lewis York. Adios.
So PSG hit back at Lionel Messi because he said in an interview that all the rest of the 25 players in their clubs got celebrated and they raced them up as kings of the world after winning the World Cup, and except Lionel Messi at PSG. Al Khalifi said, "Look, we embraced them in the club. We did what we needed to do, but we have to respect that we are a French club in France. We can't be, it's like, yeah, I think honestly, Al Khalifi hasn't. I haven't been a
That's
fan of him, but it does make
that's
sense what he said.
that's by the way, I'm laughing because inside I have a French heritage.
You
That
want to
is
cry?
such a French thing to do. To be like, well, it's France. This is how we do it. We don't celebrate other people. We're in France.
It's
The
France.
French people would be very upset if we celebrated other countries. This is France. We don't do that. France is just a very strange place. Sometimes when it comes to things, they're just like, what do you mean? It's France. We don't do that. Age of consent? We don't have an age of consent. It's France. You guys are weird. So it makes sense. I think that ultimately they were reading the room. The whole way that Messi went to PSG as a last resort, He never wanted to leave.
No.
Llorando when he leaves Barca. He shows up. He does Plaza, frankly, a bad season his first season. It's like 9-9. Then he amps it up for the first half of this season so that he can go and win the World Cup, and then kind of mails it in the Champions League or whatever. The team doesn't function the way it never functions. And so you can see how the ultras from PSG are just like, you know what? You're not really our guy. You didn't really want to be here. And then you want us to cheer because you won the World Cup against our country? No, thank you. And so
Well,
you
it does make sense, man. I
yeah,
mean,
it makes sense. But I mean, from the outside, right? When you look at it from the outside, it's like, so Lionel Messi won the World Cup. How could you not celebrate him? Because they're looking at it from the case of like, this is our team. We
right.
make the stands. Like the ultras are like almost standing away from the marketing side. One of the things that they get mad about is one of the things that PSG does because they're brand Jordan. They just make kits and shirts all the time, expecting people to buy them. And the ultras from PSG are like, we wear one shirt. I'm not wearing another shirt. It's the red, white, and blue with the Paris. Stop making shirts. I'm not buying another shirt. Let those stupid Americans buy more shirts. So they get mad about everything, right? They went to Leo's house. They were bothering him. So I get it. But, and plus, they wanted, because PSG is kind of spiteful. They're kind of jerks. Look how they're treating Mbappe. They're like, oh, you don't want to sign a contract with you? Well, we
That's
won't
true.
celebrate that you won the World Cup and you're the greatest player in the world. Not to us. You know what I mean? Like, who do you think you are?
They just do things their own way, I guess
Yeah,
you
I
can
know.
say.
I
Now, just to finish this nice show we had, full of incredible takes on the Premier League and football all over the world. Joao Cancelo, he needs to hire a PR manager because
Dude, he needs
he
to
sh-
not
he
talk.
he probably shouldn't have said what he said. He probably should have done a little more research on what Barcelona is all about. He
Mhm.
said that it's all about winning, and I'd rather win ugly than lose pretty. And of course, some people said it is what it is. I will say Barcelona did win in an ugly manner the last La Liga, and they embraced it. They
They
won
were
it.
down 2,
They
right, to
cel-
Celta Vigo. I've been trying to watch just for you.
they celebrated, but well, this yeah, I'm talking about the last La Liga last year. So they won
Oh,
it
right,
in
right,
in
right.
an ugly
Yeah,
way
very
throughout the
defensive.
season.
They gave up nothing.
Right, and so
15 goals, I think, all year.
and of course they didn't play well against Celta Vigo last game,
Yeah, but
coming back 3-2. You will have those type of games, but just
yeah.
the fact that you should not say certain.
I think
I mean,
Cancelo is a talker, is a hothead. There's a reason why, for as talented as a player as he is, and you can see it. He scored the winning goal. He gets moved on from teams. And as long as he's playing, he's fine. The second he stops playing for 2 games, he will blow up your club and you'll have to get rid of him again. So we'll see how he's going. It seems like he's already starting to burn bridges. So we'll see how Xavi
he's playing
deals with
well
it.
though.
But he's great. Listen, I don't. There's no question on the man's talent. I
Yeah,
do think they'll lose something defensively though, and I don't. I know they want to attack more. They Joao Felix and all that stuff. But last year they won that league because they gave up nothing. Nothing,
yeah.
right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. The Felix Lewandowski connection connected. It was sputtering the whole game, and then all of a sudden, moment of creativity over the top, and the finish by Lewandowski was just
Terrific. You've been watching, man.
high boot flick. I mean, there's the guy's just class. But
I had
he literally stays inside the box and just runs up and down. He
I had
doesn't
to
go
keep I had
anywhere.
to keep you on La Liga, man. You were all Premier League before I met you. Now you're changing. I like
No,
it.
no, no. I did,
You
I did,
you
I
have to
did
watch
know,
football.
I did notice that your friends from Madrid did not win their game. So
They
that's
didn't win against Atletico Madrid. Ah, man, we actually should have talked a little bit about that, but
I didn't
I
watch
mean,
it.
no, but they didn't play well. It was bad.
No.
It was
Well, they
almost Sheffield United ish, in a,
well they,
in
they
a,
have injuries. The defense isn't as good as it should be. They're
and
missing Militao.
and
They don't have a lot of
Bellingham,
depth.
Bellingham didn't save the day, man.
Well, he was
You
playing
know,
striker.
but that's kind
Ridiculous.
of the deal with Real Madrid. It's incredible because I watch stuff and they're like, well, Bellingham didn't save us today, so now we gotta start questioning whether he is. The
whether
MetLife.
he in fact is Superman.
It's incredible, man. Just the one from one extreme to the other. It's just big clubs. I'm telling you, like you were saying, United complaining that people are against them. Chelsea saying it's just we need a little bit of time. Like big clubs are just. I think I'm with you now. I'm going to be a Burnley defender. I'm going to be I'm gonna go to the bottom. I might get a rash from watching, like all over my eyes
You
from
listen,
watching.
I can listen. Let me tell you, I have put years into Brighton Football Club.
I love.
I've been following them since Houghton. I've been following them since Lewis Dunk and Webster and Duffy. I love them. They were crap. They were a 4-4-2 and a cloud of dust team. And now they're this attacking, amazing team. I fell in love with Graham Potter because I saw what he did at Ostersunds. I've been following Brighton and what they do because I have my team. They just win. It's easy. But this little side piece has been great for me. So
Yeah,
it's always good to have those little teams that you follow and you're just like,
yeah.
yeah, they're good.
Yep. Anyways, that is. Oh, what the heck is that? That is, that is it for this episode. That is it for this show. Football Tonight here with Laurent Courtines and Chris Rodriguez on Top FC Radio. Thank you. Hey, we have a great lineup of shows. Squeaky Bomb Time came out today. Go ahead, Laurent. You want to say something?
Oh, no. I was just saying, yeah, we got this.
Check out Laurent's show came out this morning at 5 a.m. He woke up early in the morning to do the show, but we do it because English people, they have to you know s- uh, ingest all those beautiful hot takes of Laurent. 5 a.m. with the Squeaky Bum Time show. Also, Football Tonight. We got La Liga talk. We got all kinds of shows for you through the lineup. So topfcradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. We will see you next time. Bye bye.